recently made a video talking about the main characters of Star Wars Rebels, trying to theorize about who will die and who will survive. It is currently my most popular video with over 10,000 views, so I decided to make another video, but this time it will be about the characters of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I just want to say, potential spoiler warning. Remember, this is all speculation. I don't have any insider scoop or anything. I'm just looking at the characters and trying to theorize. But I could be right, and if you want to go in fresh, this might be a video for you to skip. So we're going to start with the big two, that being Rey and Kylo Ren. I think it's quite obvious that Rey will survive, but I do think she'll turn to the dark side by the end of Episode 8, and then be either turned back in Episode 9 or even killed. I think Kylo Ren will turn to the light, which will give us a really cool new dynamic that we haven't seen yet, with someone turning to the light. I know a lot of people were talking about that after The Force Awakens, but I think the foreshadowing is pretty clear. I think if Kylo Ren turns to the light side, then he will be the one to either turn Rey back to the light or kill her. But I do think it's very unlikely for Rey to die. I think that would be a very strange to end such a character, and it would have a lot of people up in arms. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume that Kylo and Rey will survive. Next, I would like to talk about Finn. I have a feeling he isn't going to have such a great time. I think he has some sort of major injury, such as paralysis after his duel with Kylo Ren. But I think that's unlikely, since we do see him standing up in a promotional material so far, as little as they've been. But I do think he'll have some sort of injury, since he did get a lightsaber to the spine during his duel. I do have a feeling he might eventually die, and that could either fuel Rey's return or be a part of Rey's return. But I do think it's a bit up in the air when it comes to a character like Finn. I feel like he is just there at times to be comedic relief, at times just to be a sidekick. You know, he's a bit of a dynamic character, and I don't see why they'd bother killing him off. Next, we have Poe Dameron. I think Poe will survive because he's a good character who can fly in and save the day. Apart from Rey, we don't really have any other pilot characters, and I think they'll need him on standby just in case something's going on. They will need a character to fill that battle. Battles are pointless without any good characters actually fighting in them. So Poe, I guess, will stand by there in case a battle needs to happen, so he can come in and make the battle more interesting. I don't think it would be too powerful a moment, however, for him to die unless we get more character development in Episode 8. He was originally going to die in Force Awakens, so they could need him for something now, and that's the reason they decide not to kill him. Or maybe they just thought he was a cool character. Next, we have Leia. We know originally that she was going to play a huge part of Episode 9, but after Carrie Fisher's sad passing, I don't think we'll see her again after Episode 8. I do think the character has to die somehow. I'm not sure if it will happen on screen or off, but yeah, it's I'm very sad that we aren't going to see much more of Princess Leia, or more Princess Leia, apart from maybe in some novels or things, but yeah. And now we have Chewbacca. I think Chewie at some point will attack Kylo Ren after he kills his best friend Han Solo. I doubt that Chewbacca would actually be able to match Kylo in a battle, but I'm not too sure. I mean, there could be a chance that he confronts Kylo in a non-violent way. I don't know, maybe Kylo has no interest in killing Chewbacca. Maybe he actually feels bad and doesn't want to. We know that Wookiees can live up to 400 years, and Chewie's only 200 years old. So we could see him in the next generation of Star Wars movies. Obviously, we wouldn't probably see him played by Peter Mayhew, but we could see the character again. So I think when it comes to Chewie, he is quite up in the air. And our final character that we are going to talk about is Luke Skywalker. I am almost certain Luke will die. Luke is way too powerful of a force. I think that Rey's training will be cut short, and not because of her own choice, like when Luke was being trained by Yoda. You see, like Luke left, I think Rey will want to stay. She's that type of person.
Just that type of girl.
But then something will happen to Luke. Something will happen to Luke where he can't train her anymore, and that will cause the trainee to be cut short. I think that if Rey was trained by Luke, she would, continue to be the Mary Sue we have known her to be in The Force Awakens, guys. But I'm not sure. Guys. Also, if you look at the title, The Last Jedi, we do know now that it is plural and not singular. So I'm not sure. When it comes to Luke, it does make sense for him to die. Possibly against Snoke, which would leave a really cool dynamic with the dark side seeming to be on top. Because they have got both the Master and Apprentice, lonely leaving Rey to fight back. Right, now we're going to move on to some side characters, guys. So first we're going to start with Snoke. I know he isn't really much of a side character. He will become a huge part of this, but we don't know a lot about him. We don't know
really anything about him.
I don't think he'll die in episode 8. I think that's a given. I think he'll probably die in episode 9. But again, we could see the dark side being triumphant. I don't think there is much of a reason for General Hux to die or survive. I don't know. I feel like Maz Kanata will be used in some sort of sacrifice way. I don't know. She's been living for 1,000 years or so. For her type of character, I think it makes sense for her to die. Now, the last character isn't much of a character, but it is a ship. Of course, I am talking about the Millennium Falcon. The reason that I include this is because I am a strong believer that the Millennium Falcon will be destroyed in this new trilogy in some way or form. I feel this is one thing that will hit a huge emotional string, even though it's just a ship. We saw it in the original trilogy, and now we're seeing it now, and I'm a large... Imagine back to how excited you got when you originally saw the Millennium Falcon in the first trailer. Imagine how emotional you get when you finally see destroy. Kylo Ren, I think, would actually do this thing he wanted. He just killed a Han Solo, and now he wants to make sure, guys. No strings attached, guys. And when it comes to the Millennium Falcon, apart from Chewie, there was no one closer to Han. So that's about it for this video. Please leave a comment down below and tell me what you think. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for viewing, and have a nice day, guys.